I used to work at a bar on Franklin.
We're trying something new where the monitor is showing us ourselves now. So you might notice us just blankly staring into our own faces. We're not going to make eye contact once during this podcast because I can't.
It's like we're coming at you live.
We're coming
at you live.
What's the myth of the Greek guy who is like so beautiful that he sees his reflection in the water and he stays there and dies of hunger because he...
Scott Grayson Hall?
Yeah.
You're speaking of Narcissus.
Sure am. I sure am.
Rip Narcissus. You would have loved iPhone.
Yeah, you would have loved front-facing camera.
You would have loved the front-facing camera on the iPhone 15 or whatever.
You would have loved that Snapchat filter in 2016.
You would have loved the doggy filter in 2016. Yeah, rest in peace to him. I'm sick, if you cannot tell by my voice.
You sure are.
So you can hear a little coughing, maybe a little sneeze if you're lucky, if you're freaky.
Oh, I hope. Every podcast has to have a sick era. And
been in mine for a week now.
Yeah, it's been...
Yeah.
It's been crazy. You lost 8 pounds.
From shitting alone.
Yeah.
Who here can say the same?
Not I.
Yeah.
That's too much pounds, dude.
Like you said, I didn't have 8 pounds to lose.
You already weigh 80 pounds. That's 10% of your weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I am accidentally anorexic.
Well, it would be funny. This probably is a thing, but you know how like bulimia, you like make yourself throw up?
Sure.
What if there's an eating disorder where you make yourself shit? Like, what if you could,
some people abuse laxatives.
Yeah, I know. So it's kind of sad and not funny. And I'm trying to be funny about it.
Right. About eating disorder.
What if there was the way that you can like make yourself gag? What if you could do that in your ass and make yourself shit?
Shit on it. Shit on it by Kim Petras.
That is going to be Slut Pop Berlin.
Ew. There was a memorial at our restaurant the other day.
Oh my God. Yes, there was.
Somebody died in January, and in April, all of his friends decided to make it our problem. Oh, February.
Decided to make it our
Yeah, some random guy died. And they
on a Saturday night at
our restaurant.
A prominent bar.
They took the mic and they were giving eulogies. Mm-hmm. And when you're on the mic, the whole restaurant can hear it. So some people were just trying to dine and drink and have fun on a Saturday night. And they're literally like posted up hearing eulogies for some random guy.
Yeah.
Who died of a coke OD?
He died of a heart attack, but I did a cursory Google when I got to work and they told me a memorial was happening. I decided to do a little independent research. And
that's research, mamas.
And I Googled him, and they were he was like a celebrity
to some.
Yeah. Man, this episode's gonna be not problematic, but
risque.
Yeah.
Well, we say all this to say that during the memorial, "Gag on It" by Kim Petras started playing.
I know.
Over the speaker.
Yeah. During the memorial, when like so he was he was 58, so all of his friends are in that age range, and they're all just like, I just remember he was such a good guy. He was just so sweet and so kind, and there wasn't a bad bone in his body. And meanwhile,
and then you just hear
the juiciest blowjob ever laid down.
Rip.
But yeah, he did die of like drug related, like they ruled it a drug related death. Whether it was, I don't think it was like an OD necessarily. I think maybe you should stop doing drugs.
Yeah, at some point your body has had enough.
Yeah. But he was like super fine when he was younger.
Yeah, I saw a pic of him when he was young.
He was on 90210.
Wood.
Yeah.
Smash.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag smash.
He was on 90210 and he was, I don't know, hung out at our fuck ass bar 20 years ago.
Apparent fuckily.
And one of the eulogies was like all about this one night that they did all these drugs together. And I'm like, doesn't that seem like
This one night where they all get gagged on it.
She's going like, I remember we had all the coke cut up and we got all the drugs there and we were ready for a good night out in the desert. And I was just like, okay, well, if that's how.
Sounds like a good time. I don't know.
I
would have been there if I were his age. His big Mesozoic ass age.
Well, no, I think she was telling a story from when he was like at an
no, if I were like his age at that time, I probably would have.
Yeah.
We would have driven out to Joshua Tree and done some
They
drugs.
rode motorcycles out there.
What?
It sounded like a cunty little time.
Yeah. I'm gonna mimic his lifestyle until I'm his age.
Yeah. Well, and then
I'll outlive him.
Yeah.
By a few days.
Yeah, someone said that because there were plenty of regular customers at the bar, not there for the memorial, obviously, because it was Saturday night. And there was this guy, this older regular, who was like, what's going on tonight? And I had one of the programs, one of like the little pamphlets about where it had like his picture on it. The picture on the front was him right before he passed, like older, and he was only 58, but the picture, he was like full gray beard and gray hair.
Yeah,
he looked
had him looking crazy.
It had him looking certainly older than 58.
Yeah.
And this guy who's probably like 65, the regular that I'm talking to, was like, who is this guy? And I was like, I don't know, I guess he was like big in the 90s and 2000s. And he was like, how old was he? And I was like, 58. And the guy was just like, oh man, don't fucking tell me that. And then he goes, well, at least I beat him.
Wait, so that's how old my mom is? Because I saw they were born the same year.
Oh.
64.
Well, luckily your mom doesn't abuse drugs. So.
Luckily.
But yeah, that was, it was like, somehow it wasn't even shocking when Gag on It played. Also, I feel like it's definitely your or our fault.
Yeah.
That Gag on It is in the rotation.
I don't know why that song is in the rotation.
Neither of us added it to the queue, but we have played Slut Pop Miami at full blast several times. On Valentine's Day, I played it from start to finish.
Yeah, in full. Yeah.
And now it's in the Spotify algorithm where you don't have to add it to
it's
queue.
Like a suggested track.
Yeah, you do it. You put the random mix on, and like several Slut Pop songs come on, and it's so funny when it's 8 p.m. and there's like a family of 4 eating dinner, and she's like, whale cock.
At least it wasn't the Slut Pop reprise, because like that one immediately comes out the gate with like, these bitches can't suck like me. Yeah. Like imagine you're giving a eulogy and you just hear, walk in, I'm the sucking queen. Like,
yeah, that did play later.
Period.
Yeah. And so did Cock Blocker.
I like money.
Yeah. Well, I would. I want that at my funeral.
Yeah, I want that album played at my memorial. If I were to die tonight, like.
And I want my memorial to inconvenience an entire bar staff of people.
4 months after I kicked the can, like.
But yeah, it was good vibes this weekend. That was so silly. And then you were texting Oomphy and you're like, yet another dead guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I misspelled guy and I said there's another random dead gay at the bar. And I was like, I mean guy. Who knows? He probably.
And then Oomphy showed up the next day and was like, I really want my memorial to be the next one that happens here at birth.
Likely memorial for someone to have.
Yeah. I mean, who's to say? Who's to say that I have to bleep when I just said...
Oh, did you say the B word?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess block that too.
Yeah, I will. Anywho, but speaking of, I know we talk about. Oh my God, you nasty bitch. I know we talk about Slut Pop all the time. Album of the year, Loki.
Well, yes.
30-minute long album of the year. But we got some fucking music coming out. Beyonce just dropped that fuck ass. It's been, I mean, we kind of haven't uploaded in a little while.
Like a month almost.
I wish it's because you were sick, right?
Right, guys? Right.
But
we already discussed Ariana dropping, but Beyonce also dropped.
Beyonce dropped, and that's, I don't even care to speak about it. It's just so.
No tea, no shade, but I didn't listen to it. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I do think is cool though is that like for the Dolly cover, Dolly like has sole songwriting credits on it.
Yeah.
And I saw her being interviewed a while ago, and Dolly was like, because I didn't realize she wrote "I Will Always Love You," and was gonna give it to Elvis Presley, but he wanted publishing rights, and she was like, no, no heart emoji. She was like, I need the public, like I have 100% of my publishing rights. And so the day before he was supposed to record it, she said no, and then it ended up in Whitney Houston's hands.
Yeah,
and she
like
has all rights.
imagine the Elvis version would just be so mid.
It'd be horrible. Imagine Elvis trying to be like, and I like it. I can't imagine it. But he said like Dolly said Elvis sang that to Priscilla on the day of their divorce. So.
Speaking of which, we're gonna talk about this later, but Priscilla was a Sofia Coppola movie, and you just tapped in.
Priscilla was the first Sofia Coppola movie I watched, and then
the second one was
A Virgin Suicides, and then I have tapped into several more since then, including Marie Antoinette and The Bling Ring.
Yeah.
But I still need to watch The Beguiled and Lost in Translation.
Yeah.
And a secret other one that I can't remember the name of right now.
Yeah, I forget as well.
But The Virgin Suicide's like something. I know we're about to talk about music, but like
we can do it out of order. It doesn't matter.
The Virgin Suicide's,
it's a good segue.
Yeah, something shifted for me, as it did for like many people, but normally when they're like way younger, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that when I was 13, like in high school, 13.
Right.
And that movie came out when?
1999.
Yeah, so it had already been out for 7.
Okay. It's how like AJ Cook is one of the people who stars in it, and when the list was going on, I thought it was AG Cook, and I was like, now why is he in it?
In 1999.
Yeah, I was like, how is he involved in this movie? But The Virgin Suicides is based off a novel about like 5 young sisters who
like all teenagers.
Yeah, they're like
5 teenage
they're
sisters.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and they all end up committing suicide.
Yes.
Because
their family is a hyper Catholic religious.
Yeah,
and
they have helicopter mom and dad.
Yeah, like super controlling. And
yeah, who to like at some point in the movie, like they're not even allowed to like leave the house and shit. So like as teenagers, so yeah, they all end up like making a suicide pact. Well, one of them kills themselves like at the beginning of the movie, and then the remaining 4 kill themselves together like at the end.
One girl, I mean, just a little plot synopsis, because it's not the impact of the movie isn't like you can know that they're committing suicide. It's told from like these guys that grew up with them.
Right, that's what's so crazy about the movie. It's told through a male perspective as like a male
guys
narrator
from the neighborhood that were like romantically obsessed with them. This group of guys, him and his friends, and like they have such a mysterious air because they're so protected by their family. Yeah. And one of the sisters tries to commit suicide. The family freaks out. The psychiatrist thinks it's a cry for help. Psychiatrist gets them to agree to like let her go to a party with a chaperone.
With boys there. Yeah. She needed interaction with like males.
Yeah. And
as one does.
And then while she's at the party, she commits suicide.
Yeah, because they bring her the retard. Yeah. Like they kind of assign like each girl. They kind of bring each girl a guy, and then they present the youngest with a guy who literally like
with Down syndrome.
And she literally just goes like, "Can I be excused?"
Yeah, like at the party, all of these teenagers are making fun of him, and she's just like, "I'll be right back," and then just
and literally kills herself. Which she's so real for that. She jumps off her second balcony and is like impaled by the
iron
tip of the iron
fence,
garden fence. And then and then the rest of the movie is told through like a guy narrating it, being like, this is what the girls did, but you don't ever see the girls like talking for themselves. It's just like the males telling the audience viewer like what they did. So it's really fucking cool.
Did you know anything about it going in?
No.
That's such a crazy thing. That's how I watched it too, and I was not ready.
I managed to go 23 years without knowing anything about the Virgin Suicides.
I was not ready at all, and like the soundtrack is so good, and it's so it just works so well together. Everything's so impactful, and especially when I was in high school, already feeling suicidal. Like feeling
there's a reason I wasn't presented with this movie when I was in high school, because I would have joined the Lisbon Sisters probably.
Yeah, you would have made a suicide pact with yourself.
I would have been like, so true, queens. Let me try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Something shifted because it resonated with my religious upbringing for sure.
Right, and that's like the real tea. Is it's not even about teenage angst or about the female experience, really. I mean, it is, and it touches on that, but like it's really about like religious trauma and like the damage that, like, because all of the adults are fucked in the entire movie. Like even after like the all of them, they do the suicide pact, and even after that, like nobody acknowledges what happened.
Yeah, like they're just like this mysterious like story, because the parents end up moving away, and it's just like a tale.
The whole community doesn't even, they're just like, wow.
I would like to see a movie where it's like the background of the parents, because that's what no one ever thinks about. It's like the parents are so like, they are fucked up children who are just grown as well.
Right.
Because there's a scene where the mom is making Kirsten Dunst burn all of her like vinyl records that are like rock bands.
Yeah.
Which is so relatable. Like it wasn't like severe in that way for me, but there was such thing as like secular music that I wasn't allowed to listen to. And like for a while I could only listen to Christian music, and I still have cultural blind spots, and people will try to blame it on my age when I talk about like, oh, I don't know this or get that reference or whatever, but it's really just because I was like sheltered and grew up in Tennessee, and my parents were on the staff at my church.
Right.
That I went to 3 times a week. Like that was my life for very formative years as a kid. So it's like there's a lot of things I just simply missed out on. And when people talk about listening to like Nicki Minaj and giving blowjobs when they were like 14, 15, I'm like, what? Like that's not anywhere near what I could like thought was a realm of possibility, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I went to Catholic school for 7 years, and I wasn't sheltered at home in the same way. Like my parents weren't religious, but I had like the opposite, where like for you, maybe when you were at school, that was your time to be more free from that. And for me, it was the opposite. Like when I was at school was when I was like receiving the religious trauma, like
that'd be crazy for like the one place you know you can get out of your house.
Yeah.
If you were like being very sheltered at home, but then like you go to school and it's literally like church if it were school.
Yeah, it really was. And it was
I can't imagine all that.
It was
I really would kill myself in that situation.
If you were getting it from both sides. I tapped into like, because I never really even thought about me having any kind of religious trauma, just because it wasn't being forced on me by my family. But I tapped into something on St. Patty's when we were I was at work, and like it was on like the Spotify Irish music playlist or whatever.
Sea shanties.
Yeah, which Irish music and pirate music, not a huge difference if you really think about it.
Yeah.
And this song came on that was like very like Catholic, like hymn, like a hymn. And it like my whole body tensed up. It was like I had like a physical response to it of like remembering.
Why do you think?
I mean, I hated that part of my life growing up. Like I always felt so uncomfortable, and like we had to go to mass weekly, and it was just like, man, it sucks. It's not. First of all, I would say of any religion, Catholicism is like probably the worst one if you're trying to like get kids to be like excited about it or whatever.
Right.
Like at least some forms of Christianity, they're like, oh, it's like a dude with an acoustic guitar, and like we do like fun songs or whatever. And like with Catholicism, it's like stand up and kneel and stand up and kneel.
Right, because we had Veggie Tales at least. Like at least we had talking vegetables to kind of be like, what the fuck am I looking at right now? But like it was entertaining for children.
Yeah, and Catholicism, it's like when you're in church, when you're in mass, the kids can't be kids. Like your kid's not allowed to fucking cry, or like you better shut your kid the fuck up for these 2 hours.
Am I crazy for thinking it's very deranged to ask your 6-year-old to like give their life to Christ or something? Because that's what happened to me. I remember being in my bedroom, my like dad or somebody was showing me like this book that was like a children's book that was a retelling of some Bible story or whatever. And then at the end, when we finished, he was like, do you want to give your life to God? Because he is the creator of the world and the boss of your life, and you need to surrender to him. And I was literally around 6 years old, and I was like, well, yes.
Well, you're going to say, the thing is, it's like when your protector, when your provider is saying anything to you like that, and you're 6, you're going to be like,
yeah, you could have told me the devil was the boss, and I would have given my life to him. Like, it's not... How is it even fair to like make me make a decision?
Because you're not making a decision,
it's literally like it's brainwashing. Like as I get older, I've always been questioning, like, is this really something I believe, or was I told to believe? First of all, I was told to believe it, and I think it's just crazy to tell kids like this is what's right.
Well, and it's so, speaking of religious trauma, and this is like, we have E-word Umfi, it grew up Mormon, and like I've just heard, like, hearing those stories is absolutely bananas. Like it's one thing to be like, you need to accept like God or whatever, and you need to give your life to him when you're 6. But she was saying when she was like 11, like pre-puberty, going to these like like while the adults were in church, there was like the kids camp or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're teaching you how to be a wife, and like they're saying shit like, your future husband is in this room.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are children. Like, they don't even, like, it's insane.
We had, like, youth groups that would go to something equivalent of, like, Vacation Bible School. I know the real hoes know about VBS. And they would go, and they had, like, the speaking in tongues was crazy for me. Did y'all ever be doing that in Catholic school?
No, we did not do that.
We would speak, I would.
So you guys were, like... That was like almost Pentecostal.
I was non-denominational Christian, technically. Like that's what I grew up in. But like these hoes would try to get me to speak in tongues as a child, and I would see them doing it. And I'm thinking about it now. I can't believe I witnessed adults like in a room just being like they would literally make sounds like like that's like just what it was. Like literally like rolling your tongue around your mouth and producing noise, and they'd be like, that's the spirit speaking through me. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what the fuck are you saying? Like, I can't understand it. And they're like, no, it's like the spirit. Like, it doesn't make sense in a human body.
It's just so...
in my mortal meat sack. Like, like, that's how they were. And I can't believe I was literally 10 years old, like, witnessing a grown adults just, like, doing that.
It's so insane.
Like, that is kind of traumatizing when you think about it.
First of all, it's cringe as fuck.
I would have got the ick if like I saw like my man just being like the spirit speaking through me right now. I'm like,
but it's also
why is another man inside of your body?
Yeah. Like who's that inside you that isn't me right now?
Like who's controlling your tongue right now? Like that's like ew, gay, and I'm getting the ick. I like not me getting traumatized and the ick at the same time because the Holy Spirit just took over your body.
Like, why are you not in control of your own faculties right now?
No, literally, like, why are you outside and loose?
But it's also, like, that's such a, it's so funny to think about, like, in religion, getting carried away in that way when it's, like, speaking in tongues under that guise is, like, oh, like, yeah, he's got the spirit. But then, like... in another way, when like a group of people get caught up in like it's like a mob mentality, like hive mind thing, and it's just like, oh, they lost their minds, they're crazy. Like, how is that any fucking different?
Oh no, I really can't believe like the things that were normalized.
There were like there's this movie called Jesus Camp, which is like about a kids camp for Pentecostal Christians, which are like speaking in tongues. Those are the ones that like will like let poisonous snakes out and be like, they're not, God will protect you from them biting you or whatever. Like, I don't know if you've heard about that.
Me in the middle of a schizophrenic episode.
Yeah, literally. And they're like, you can't, and you might have experienced some of this, but they're like it's the absolute sheltering down to the like Harry Potter is witchcraft and you can't read that. Like,
well, I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter, and the real host watched Narnia instead. Because it was religious allegory.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, if you and I watched this documentary, which I did when I was in high school, it's shocking and disgusting. It borders on child abuse, like the way that
always was.
And they're like, they use terminology like we're building an army for the holy war that's coming up. That's why we're bringing these kids here.
Right. It was all about the revelations. Like it was all about the end times when I was growing up. Like I literally thought I was born into a world
that's
where
about
like
to end.
I was gonna have to be like fiending for food in the forest and be like caveman, like hunter gatherer shit, because like the devil's goons would be out trying to like give me the mark of the beast. That was a big thing when I was a kid. They were gonna, if you wanted groceries and like basic human rights, you'd have to get the mark of the beast like stamped on you, but that it meant you were going to hell, even though you lived like lavishly on earth. But the real Christians would be in like hideouts and camps and stuff, trying to like hide from the government and stuff. Like Can you just imagine being 10 years old thinking that's what you're going to grow up into?
Yeah, that is
why I lose my mind every now and then.
That is child abuse.
That's why I act a little crazy every now and then, because like
that's why I black out and twerk on the roof of my car sometimes.
Because I got to release that somehow, because I literally spent years of my life thinking I would have to be on the run.
Sometimes
like,
sometimes you're just purely celebrating. Like other people call it blacking out. You call it like...
I call it living.
Yeah, all of a sudden it washes over you that you're not foraging for food right now and that the end times aren't here, and you're just like,
yeah. Sometimes it just hits me that like, oh, that was not real. Like, I'm not saying I don't believe in God, and I still even feel like that classic Catholic guilt where like, I don't ever want to say like I don't believe in something. Like I think I will always be agnostic to some degree for sure. And I'm spiritual. Like I take astrology seriously. I take pseudoscience seriously.
Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
It was in the midst of kicking our asses.
Right. So, you know, I do practice like some spiritual things, but like it's hard. Like I would never tell my kid Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life.
Well, and you get to, as an adult, you get to determine what makes sense to you, and it's not compulsory, and you're not being indoctrinated. Like, don't you think that whatever ideology you're pushing is kind of shaky when the only way it works is you have to get them before they form their own opinions?
Right.
Like that seems like the premise is already flawed. Like the only way we can get them to believe this is we have to get them young, you know?
Yeah. And the thing for me too is that like there's no like moment like come to Jesus moment where I'm like, oh, that was not true. It's just been so gradual over many years. Like people like, I only really think about it when people ask me, do you believe in God? And I'm like, haven't thought about it in a second.
And it's even when we talk about this, I feel like anytime we've ever talked about like your upbringing, there will be little moments that you have where you're like, wait, that was so crazy.
Yeah. Like, or it's just like a gradual thing behind my eyes that like the gears in my brain just keep turning, and over like many years I will start to be like, I think now I'm looking at it objectively, or haven't thought about it in a while, like that is just, that can't be true. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. And I saw a tweet the other day that was like, someone posted an AI generated video of what hell is supposed to be like, and it was, you know, your classic like people just screaming and like fire and shit.
It was just your 9/11 video.
Yeah. AI generation of what 9/11's like, and it's me going like planes flying over. But someone was like, the fact that this is what people think they're condemned to for having sex before marriage, like, does that not sound insane? Like burning in fire forever. Eternity, that is for literally ever. Like that's really intense for like something like living with someone before you're married. You know, like it just doesn't make sense.
What's that tweet where it's like me in hell explaining what gaslighting is to a peasant who's there for stealing a loaf of bread?
For real, like none of it adds up. And I think I'm starting to come into that mindset of like, I'm still not sure what I believe, but this cannot all be true. You know?
And there's like a level of critical thinking, and maybe it's because it didn't fully add up at the time of you being a kid.
Well, that's the thing. People will sometimes act like my beliefs are stupid, and I'm like, you need to give me some space because the way I was raised is psychotic, I think.
Yeah.
And if you were raising it too, there's things you have to unlearn.
Even then, I think there were probably moments where you were like, this doesn't make full sense to me.
There's a weird anti-masturbation part of Christianity,
and you were like,
too.
You lost me.
You lost me bad. You lost me when I was 10 years old with that shit, because when I picked up that DirecTV remote and it grazed my 10-year-old dick for the first time, something shifted bad and I came hard. I actually didn't come because it was prepubescent.
Yeah,
so like
yeah,
I
yeah.
orgasmed, but there was no cum.
Those were the good
That
days.
was the like. God. Yeah.
Okay, we can't talk too much about children.
I'm talking about me. It's me. No, but like they lost me bad with that, and also I've never felt guilt about the masturbating thing because I've been doing it since I was 10.
Well, and I don't think,
and I never understood. Like does the Bible say something about I know it talks about sex. But
there's passages about a man shouldn't spill his seed on the ground. Like that the only.
What about his own chest?
What about all over his sheets, his bed sheets, and his pillows?
What about
the wall behind?
What about
him?
in this chick's mouth? Like I don't like.
Hey, if they don't say it shouldn't touch the ground. They only say it shouldn't touch the ground. So if you're just aim, and we're on the second floor.
Yeah.
So we're pretty far from the ground.
Yeah.
Well, I think like the idea behind it, which is classic, is that like sex or like having an orgasm is never for enjoyment. It's only for procreation. It's kind of their theme.
I see.
So they're like when like you should not be nutting unless you're getting
planting
a bitch pregnant.
Your seed. Yeah. There was also a thing where like I went from a small church when I was a kid in Tennessee where my parents were on the staff, so you can fucking imagine. And then when I moved back to Florida when I was a teenager, we started going to a mega church that had like thousands of people, which is that's its own different sort of beast. But like there, everyone, like the pastors were especially schizophrenic. Like they'd be like, I can see angels right now and stuff. And I'd be like, what? But I remember being the most uncomfortable when they brought this gay ass man on stage to talk about how he was about to be trans, but then the Lord saved him, and now he's happily married to a woman, and he was
I bet
literally
she's really happy too. I bet she's giving Illuminati. Like, thank God for the Lord stepping in. Now I'm married to this guy who won't touch me.
It was giving Illuminati humiliation ritual to like for him to get on stage and be like, my wife over there, slay queen. Like that's literally what it was like. And I was just so uncomfortable because like I was like, this man is gay, and we're like, there's like 5,000 of us sitting here pretending he's not.
Yeah.
And
he's pretending he's not, and you guys are supposed to be happy about it.
And we're supposed to like play into the charade.
Yeah, he's not gay.
Yeah. And I just was like sitting there mad and uncomfortable because it was like I hadn't come out yet. I was maybe 16. So this was like a year before I came out. This man to me was so gay, but he was lying to himself and to all of us and saying that he was saved because he wasn't trans. And I didn't know a lot about transness then as much as I do now, but I was just like, something is so off about this. And I was like, I remember thinking like, do I need to be saved like from I was sitting next to my mom and dad during that too, like they're the ones who like brought me there, telling me that this is where like you should be and this is what's right since I was a kid.
Do you think at that point that they had like any suspicion or idea that you?
Yeah, I think my mom knew, and that's kind of what makes it worse is that if my mom suspected that and still put me, and still like trying to brainwash me at 16 into thinking that like being trans or gay is wrong, and like 5,000 people around me are cheering for him and celebrating that he was saved from being trans.
And it's like, what do you think God, if it exists, would be more against? Would it be against someone like feeling comfortable in their skin and loving who they want to love, or is it the pastor of a mega church who's making $1 million a year and like literally living lavishly? Like you want to talk about the mark of the beast,
girl. Like it turned out too that he ended up like in hot water because he was misusing funds.
They usually do.
Yeah, and people worshipped him there, and he.
It's literally like
ended up leaving.
It literally is like a false idol. Like like these pastors are getting worshipped. They want to be treated like they are God, and it's like.
It's really
if you actually
crazy.
believe in the stuff in the Bible, they're saying not to do that.
Yeah.
Like Jesus literally went to that motherfucking market and turned up on those motherfuckers.
Right.
Over this type of behavior.
This bitch said where 2 or 3 gather in my name, like I'm there.
Yeah.
Like you
not win 5,000.
You do not need thousands of people with
a fucking microphone and a PA system hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, and he was wearing like Tim's and like that long shirt that has like a low cut chest sleeve and then like goes past your ass.
That's what
and like
the pastor
skinny
was
jeans.
wearing?
Yeah, and he was like 50.
Things were so fucked.
Dude, it was like
10 years ago.
A hip mega church, yeah, and like early like the teen 2000s years, where like people wore that shit.
In 2010.
It's like 2016 because I was like 16 when that thing happened. But yeah, I was just like this is just wrong and off. Like, so anyways, the virgin suicides. captured it really well in a coming of age aesthetic kind of way.
Well, and it's like, I mean, that's not even, yeah, I mean, God, what a good movie.
And they didn't really get into that. They just, like, you knew the parents were religious and they were overbearing.
That's like what's driving them being sheltered, and it's having the opposite effect. Like the fact that the parents are so psychotically, like they're so Catholic, and everything they're doing is so reactionary and so fear-based. Like,
yeah,
they're so afraid about their daughter's well-being that they accidentally have them all kill themselves.
Yeah, imagine being a parent and 5 of your children all kill themselves around the same time. Like, shit. Like, well, I'm coming with it.
4 of them do it in the same night.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, religious trauma is real, and it's like something I think that we're only just as a society, like, kind of starting to tap into being a problem.
Yeah, because it's not like tangible, because these things are allowed. Like, churches are allowed. You are allowed to tell children that somebody you cannot see is real.
And that not only that, but that they're watching you and they will punish you.
Yeah, like,
and their version of punishment is eternal suffering. Eternal suffering.
Like,
just for busting a nut on your sheets.
With my DirecTV remote. Like, can I live?
Well, what do you mean by that? Like, how are you using the...
Oh, okay. So, like, if my phone is the remote, I would kind of, like, lay on my back on the couch or whatever, post up, and then, like, just over the pants, rub the bottom of the remote on my dick.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think my dumbass didn't put together that I could just jack off and use my hands.
Yeah.
So I would just kind of rub it and then get that feeling. And then one time my mom walked in on me doing it because I didn't know it was bad to rub a TV remote on your penis. And
why would you know that?
Yeah.
And it's not that. I mean, it's...
I was like, do you guys know about this? Tap in.
Guys, I just found out something crazy, this feature that DirecTV has. And I don't know if you knew about it or if we pay extra for this or what, but...
I didn't think to use anything else but the remote. And I was...
Guys, did you know this thing that DirecTV is offering?
Yeah, my mom wanted me doing it, and then I kind of like put the remote down, like, out of instinctual shame or whatever, and she was like, what was that? And I was like, just stroking my shit.
Were you touching yourself? And you're like, well, yes.
Well, sort of, kind of. I'm using a remote over the pants, but, same feeling.
I'm touching the remote. The remote's touching me. Is that what you mean?
Right. Loophole for the Bible. And she was...
And I'm not even nutting on the floor, so...
Girl, I'm not nutting at all.
Yeah.
And she sat down and she was like, does it tickle when you do that? And I was like, yeah, like, real good. But, like, the way she was speaking, I realized, like, something was wrong. So then I started doing it in secret or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I remember, like, my first YouTube searches being emo boys kissing.
Minecraft boys kissing.
No, I don't know why, but emo boys kissing was something that I looked up frequently. And it was just dudes with long black hair and piercings and tattoos just making out shirtless. That's it. And that would literally give me the craziest nuts. At like 11 years old.
I was an emo boy kissing back in high school. We would, like, when I was in high school, I had some, like, me and a friend would, like, take pictures of us kissing to send to girls because they just drove them crazy.
I probably busted to it when I was little.
Like, that, like, long...
Yeah, the scene cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably busted to that when I was little.
Not our timeline's actually lining up where that's a possibility.
I know that it, like, could be.
Because, when I was in high school, when I was 18, you were 9.
So around the time I was starting to search up emo boys kissing.
Funny side story. When I was, after high school, I was living with my friend, Peter, and... we were just like, for some reason I was going through YouTube, our classmates' YouTube account, which had this video of Peter on a beach trip we took as friends, like a big group of our high school friends go to the beach. And the beaches where I'm from are so cold you have to wear a wetsuit if you're going to go surfing. Mm-hmm. And Peter was surfing, and the video is him holding a surfboard and he's like air humping just because, we were teenagers. And it's a short video, and I'm looking through all of her videos, and this one has like 20,000 views. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Why does this have so many views? And YouTube had a thing, I don't know if they still do, where you can like click on a video and see like where the traffic's coming from, if it's coming from an external link. And all the traffic is coming from a website called wetsuitlads.co.uk. And it's like a British website dedicated to like boys in wetsuits.
Oh my God. Ew.
And I thought it was so funny. And Peter was just like horrified.
I would be.
And I now I see it from his perspective and I feel bad. But at the time I was just like, this is the funniest shit I've ever heard of in my life. And he was just like he's just like, oh, what kind of old British men have been like jerking off to my...
Right. No, they have the weirdest fetishes. Like, not guys in wetsuits.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've never looked up. I've looked up many things, but not like a wetsuit.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I don't know.
What's going on there?
It's gotta be trauma related. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
They had some sort of weird experience in the water.
Yeah. But it was
in the deep sea.
It was thousands of views. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's always
religious trauma knows no bounds.
Yeah. And that's obviously related too. But
yeah, I just think it's crazy that much of the country would support parents telling their kids that someone in the sky is like the all-powerful creator
Not
of their
only
life.
would they do. And to wrap up the point about the that documentary called Jesus Camp is, if you and I watched it, we would be sickened. And the gag about it is the church had final cut on the documentary. So what they put out
is something they condone.
To them, they were like, hell yeah, this is what we're all about. This makes us look great.
Yeah.
And to us, we're sickened by it. Mm-hmm. That's just how far off our viewpoints are. Like how far apart we are from being able to see eye to eye. It's insane. But I mean, we're out here, and we're fucking having sex outside of wedlock.
I did eventually come out at 17. I have sex. I don't feel guilty about it.
Good.
Don't have a lot of sex.
It's weird though. I wonder like if mental health professionals like therapists or psychologists or psychiatrists are like have done enough, like if that's a field that needs more research, is like specifically religious.
For sure. I watched a movie last night from 1980 at the Las Vegas Theater called The Ninth Configuration. Its alternate name is Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane. But it was the predecessor to the Exorcist films. So if there's any Exorcist fans, it was supposed to be a horror movie, but it was so like shitty that it wasn't actually scary. But it was thought-provoking for sure, and it did touch me.
It's The Exorcist was in the 70s.
Then why are the streets saying it's the second installment in a trilogy?
It's a sequel to The Exorcist, like unofficial sequel.
Yeah. And then Exorcist 3 was in 1990. So yeah, it's like an unofficial part of the Exorcist thing, but like there's no canon kind of thing, but the director said it does like play a role. But there was a lot of like religious commentary and like philosophizing about it. And one thing I think the most thing that what the fuck? What I struggle with the most still, I think, is my fear of death, because afterlife is the whole other part of the conversation that we haven't talked about.
Well, yeah, totally.
And I'm not going to talk about it because it freaks me out.
Well, I do think that plays a part on why religion is so accepted by society, is because it's a coping mechanism to deal with the fact that people die.
Exactly. And that there might not be anything after death.
And if you can't deal with that, then religion is perfect for
And one thing about me, I can't deal with it. So like some might say
you're not supposed to be able to deal with it though. You're 23.
I know, but like I'm just saying, sometimes I will literally just be chilling, and the thought that like that we literally have to die, I feel like it's crazier than people talk about.
I mean, I grew up having a serious existential dread, especially in high school, where I would think about it and like be able to picture like maybe start to tap into what nothingness would feel like.
Right.
Which is to say doesn't feel like anything because you don't feel anymore.
I do that on the reg though. I think like...
I did when I was your age too, and it fucking freaked me out, and I would almost like I could manifest a panic attack out of thinking.
I sure do. And then that movie got me to think about it because it ends with a suicide, and I always think like Freddie Mercury, like I wish... I'm of the belief I would rather have not been born than have to like be conscious of the fact that we die.
Wait,
That's how bad it is
what
for
does that
me.
have to do with Freddie Mercury?
Oh, because in Bohemian Rhapsody, he's like, he says that.
Oh, okay.
He's like,
I was like, why did you just say Freddie Mercury's name in the middle of that sentence?
what does he say though? Like, what's that lyric?
I wish I'd never been born at all.
I wish I'd never been born at all. Yeah, that part. Yeah, always resonated with me.
Yeah.
Because, which I think he was saying it for other reasons, but my fear of death like drives pretty much everything I do. And seeing that movie, it was about
when you're furiously masturbating to stave off your fear of death.
Well, yes, that is why like I masturbate so much, I think. But the movie was about like a colonel who is ex-military who enters a psych ward.
Vietnam War guy.
Yeah, he has just finished with the Vietnam War or whatever. He enters a psych ward to take care of a bunch of inmates who lost their minds one way or another. But then come to find out all those inmates are faking being crazy because the colonel who came to take care of them actually lost his mind, and they're trying to help him by letting him help them.
Oh, it's like a Shutter Island thing.
Yeah, that's what the streets are saying. I haven't seen Shutter Island. But isn't that kind of crazy? It was a cool plot. It was not executed well. It was a mess of a movie, to be honest. But the idea I thought was cool. And then at the end, he ends up having his breakdown, and there's a lot of like questioning about God against one of the main inmates and the colonel. And that's like their whole thing. And the colonel is like, believes in God. And then he has conversations with the main inmate, Crenshaw or whatever. Who questions God's existence a lot. And so, it was making me have some existential dread as well. But
Cutshaw,
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's called, the alternate title is Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane.
Yes, because
the colonel's name is Kane.
The main colonel has a brother, and he thinks his brother is the killer Kane who like murdered a lot of people during the war. But you come to find out it's him, and he blacked it out and like assumed a new identity just through trauma.
'Cause he killed a young
Yes,
boy.
he severs the head of like a young guy or whatever in the war, and he like blacked it out and made himself think it was his brother who did that. But then really the brother...
Damn, that is straight up Shutter Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because really the brother is running the inmates and like assigning them like how to act and what to do, and they're studying the colonel who murdered this guy, and he's the real
We should
inmate.
watch Shutter Island soon, because that's it's like, sounds like a well executed version of...
Yeah, because what year was Shutter Island?
Like 2000 something.
Because I kept thinking the whole time, I want to see like a modern version of this, because I see the vision, but it's not giving, because it's from 1980, and
yeah,
it's kind of a shit
it's
show.
Leo and Mark Ruffalo too.
Oh,
so it's two daddies.
Mark Ruffalo's fine ass.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love to. It's different. Like it's a guy who like goes to an island that's a standalone like asylum on this island. So
yeah, it was like in a big castle in the middle of the woods is like where it took place.
Wow, I wonder, I didn't hear about this, but it is so clearly inspired by that.
The standout line to me for that movie, he said, because
Shutter Island's based on a novel.
So is the Ninth Configuration.
Shutter Island novel. When did that come out? What were you saying? The line?
The movie's called The Ninth Configuration now because the line in the movie, the main inmate who doesn't believe in God, he did actually have a breakdown right before. He's an astronaut. He was supposed to go to the moon.
Yeah.
But he broke down and didn't go. And he was acting to the colonel like he lost his mind and that's why he didn't go. But the real reason was that he was afraid of the loneliness up in space and was afraid that like he would die up there and that there'd be no God and that there'd be nothing after life. Which real as fuck. But there's like a sequence where it's like surreal and he's an astronaut on the moon and then he encounters Jesus on the cross.
Damn, that sounds so cool. I wish
it's so
they
sick.
Should remake
I saw it on film too. It was like the original film print from the 80s, and he looks at Jesus on the cross in this like sequence and he says like he calculated how long it would take for life to exist from the atoms in space or whatever to come together to form like humans on Earth and stuff, and it would take 10 to the 234th power billion years by chance as well. And he said atoms of the ninth configuration all to assemble to make life possible on Earth. And he was like, I think that's more fascinating than simply believing in a God, is what he said. And I was like,
Tea.
Clock that tea. Something to chew on. I don't know.
Something to think about.
Something to think about
Next
for
time
my
you're having
agnostic
existential
viewers.
dread in the middle of the night.
All this to say, any agnostic listeners and viewers having existential dread,
it's based on a novel.
Allow yourself to think about this.
The director wrote the novel.
Yeah. It's a novel that he ended up turning into a movie. But
interesting. The Shutter Island's based on a book that came out in 2003. So he had to have been inspired by that.
Definitely. But yeah, it ends, spoilers, I guess, but it ends with the colonel killing himself to be an example of someone who gives their life to show that God exists. Because the inmate said to the colonel at some point, if you die first, give me a sign that there is life after death. And then the movie ends with this fuck-ass corny freeze frame where he finds the colonel's locket and he's like, how did this get here? And then he just holds it up and goes... And then it freezes on him smiling, looking at the medal, and then the credits just start to roll. And I was like, okay, that just took me the fuck out.
Everything.
So I was like, there were some moments in the movie that were accidentally like beautiful. It was a mess of a movie for sure, but it touched me personally.
Man. Okay,
I
cannot wait to watch
Shitter Island.
Shitter Poop Land with you.
This is Poop Configuration inspired Shitter Island.
This is how they sum up the last scene. Cutshaw finds the St. Christopher's medal has somehow appeared in his car. He turns it over to confirm whether it was the one he gave to Kane and silently rejoices at what he sees.
Yeah, and then it's a crazy freeze frame. And then the credits just start to roll.
Hell yeah. I want to see that too.
And then I unleashed the craziest cough that I had been holding back during this silent ass sequence where he's just staring at the medal, and I was like, and then as soon as the credits started rolling, I went, and I felt so bad for everyone around me, but I literally was like,
at least you held it in, man.
It was horrible.
Imagine you do that before he's like finding the medal.
And everyone thinks I'm just like vomiting and shitting over here because like the movie touched me so much.
God isn't real.
No, they must have thought that movie got me good.
Yeah,
I literally
you were literally
lost
gagged.
it after the credits rolled. I was literally gagged.
Literally gagging.
No, yeah, the movie was cool. God is questionable. God is up to interpretation.
I know God ain't what the fucking Christians think he is. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, something to chew on for sure. We were going to talk about music, but we're approaching the hour mark.
Yeah, we sure are. And
so speaking of secular music, I'm just going to say I'm excited for Charlie's new album. I'm seeing her on Thursday.
Calling Charlie's album secular music.
Secular music. I'm seeing Charlie XCX on Thursday, and it's secret. It's a secret. No one knows where she's performing, and I'll tell you after I get back.
I mean, you can tell them now because it's gonna be
true. Okay, it's at the White Claw Shore Club in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, and only 300 people are getting in, and I know about it because
you're that bitch.
Umar Arb, one of the regulars at my bar. Umar Arb has a client who's an Instagram influencer. And his influencer got him like the code to get in to reserve like RSVP tickets. So it's free and we're driving out to Palm Springs in 2 days. Yeah. Umar Arb.
Umar Arb hooking it the fuck up as usual. Umar Arb stays slaying.
Yeah. Umar Arb chewed this event. So yeah, we're going to Palm Springs in 2 days. I'm going to see Charlie. And then I also bought tickets to see her on the Brat tour at the Shrine in LA on June 15th. So if you want to kill me, that's a place to be that time.
So anyone who's trying to show me what happens after this life,
I'll be at the Shrine.
So on Thursday is she's got to be doing the new song.
Yeah, the event in the description says she's performing ahead of her new album that comes out in June. So,
but that's crazy.
I don't know what to expect, but it's going to be exclusive and crazy.
I can't think that she's going to do a bunch of songs from it because it's literally
I feel like
not coming out for a month and a half.
I feel like it'll be similar to Boiler Room. She's going to like DJ some like random songs and some of her own stuff. And
it's not whatever. Like that Ariana thing though that Oomph went
No, it's not like that. Yeah. It's not like a secret sessions where she plays you new music. It's just she'll just be like DJing and performing.
And she'll probably do the songs that are already out, like
B2B and her older stuff, and then some new stuff like random.
Von Dutch and B2B will definitely be.
Yeah, but I'm really excited for that. Umar Arb also offered me a Coachella day pass for Saturday for $100.
Oh.
for Lana Cello. I don't have anywhere to stay. I can't take my car out there. Jordan's gonna be here. I don't know.
Oh, that's this weekend?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Exactly.
So this weekend's
Dylan's bartending Coachella too, so he's going for free as well.
Not Dylon.
Yeah.
Bartending.
But only $100 to go to Coachella on Saturday.
Where is he staying?
He actually just posted on his story and said, anyone have a place to stay? Because I'm bartending and they just pulled our lodging. So I don't know where he's going to stay.
There's nowhere to stay that's not like price gouging. Like
and
expensive.
I'm not, like this close to the festival, and I'm not staying on that fuck ass like grounds. I'm not going to camp. That's crazy. So I'm not going to go. I told Umar Arb that I'm not going to make it. But I am excited for Thursday.
Well, aren't they going to stream it anyways?
Yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to be streaming Lana's set no matter what, but it would be really cool to be there.
Taylor comes out on stage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll have to unpack that in the next episode. It's gonna be fun.
We'll see how it
Shout
ends
out
up
Umar
going.
Arb.
Thanks, Umar Arb.
And thank you guys for listening. Good luck with y'all's religious trauma and whatnot. Yeah. Nothing happens after you die. It's just nothingness for an eternity.
It's Charlie's boiler room set for eternity.
The thing is, anything for eternity is hell. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I love Gag on it, but
if I had to listen to that on repeat for eternity, like that's hell, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
except petting my little dog. If I had to pet my little dog, Winston, for eternity, then I know I'd be in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. Heaven is you get to hang out with all the pets you had or knew in your whole life.
If I had like my now passed cat Dakota and my alive dog Winston.
Or just imagine every animal you've ever interacted with. That's just what heaven is.
Yeah.
Well, something to chew on.
Yeah, something to think about. All right, bye.
Love you guys. Catch us Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube for video. And we drop episodes whenever the fuck we feel like it. All right.
I'm the captain now, bitch.
Love y'all.
Bye.